Good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get into the JRC in a moment. First, brief disclaimer. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, all pertinent links will be right there in the description box for you. So should you like to go ahead and deep dive the subject on your own, you'll definitely be able to go ahead and do so. Trigger warnings, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. I do use profanity, and when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. So if you got a child that is 16 or younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. All right, folks, where we left off last time. Back to our public comments in favor of the ban of the GED device, circa proposed ban of 2023. All right. This comment says, as a behavior analyst, I know that there are a vast amount of positive behavior supports for students with learning and behavior struggles. Students deserve access to treatment that is backed with evidence and proven as meaningful and developmental for their progress. Harsh protocols such as administering shock are simply not necessary. Stop shock protocols are abusive, no matter how administered, bottom line. It is beyond astonishing and shameful to be practicing in a state that still allows this and may even be contributing to funding it. Stop the shock. I find it interesting. All the individuals who are ABA analysts who comment on this, first off, bravo, I am glad you all come around to the fact that adversives, at least on a physical level, are bad, but you have yet to come around to the idea of the fact that you have within ABA a system that is set up with consequences, it still puts you on the same level as the JRC. You see, it doesn't matter whether the adversive is physical or whether it is psychological, trying to force a behavior out of a person that is not native to them by the means of what's gotten up to in ABA. I'm willing to argue can be just as detrimental. And the fact that we cannot wrap our brains around the fact that we can condemn physical aversives, but the system we represent is not the positive type of behavioral support that it is painted to be, because although the adversives are more, you have to go sit in the corner or you can't have your favorite thing that already belonged to you until you act neurotypical enough to our satisfaction, I got news for you. It's still adversive. You can't get rid of one without the other. So, what I would propose is we get rid of all adverse types of protocols that are within the medical model, point blank, period. Whether they are physical or whether there's some other type of consequence to try to force someone out of their own personality, as it were. You've got to be able to take a look at the rot within before you go in and comment on the rot without. Remember the whole Bible saying, the speck in your neighbor's eye and the plank in your own? Yeah. Just saying. It's not to be mean. I'm glad that they are speaking out against this. But at the same time, none of this was developed separate out of nowhere. So, just wanted to put that out there. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple more comments. We're going to make this particular video and the next few videos a little bit shorter. All right, famous last words. As per usual, I say that and then somebody writes a book. Next comment. It says, I am autistic and I believe the FDA should pass the rule banning the use of electric shock devices for behavior modification. The United Nations says that the electric shock devices are torture. They are inhumane. People should not be treated that way. And it is honestly frightening that people like me can be painfully shocked. And we have no power or say in the situation. That is one of the things that is most terrifying about it all. You cannot sit there and tell me, well, this person consented for you, so there's consent. That is not how consent works. If I'm to believe that they expect my own bodily autonomy, even in the limited scope provided by the means of me being a minor in a situation, if I'm not getting a say so in regards to whether being forced on that device or not, that means my consent is not being considered by anyone. Hence, you do not have me, the person forced on the device's consent, to put that on me. So can we please stop with that? It's so annoying. It's so see-through. It's just, come on now. Dubious at best. The possibility of that inhumane treatment like the electric shock device is one reason why I have not sought a formal diagnosis, which prevents me from assessing resources to help autistic people, even when having a great deal of difficulty, because the remote possibility of ending up somewhere people are allowed to torture me is terrifying. You would be surprised how many autistics are simply self-diagnosed and never seek a formal diagnosis because they are scared to death of places like JRC and individuals like RFK Jr. who want to entirely eradicate every single one of our civil and human rights and stick us in places against our consent like the JRC or some organic farm thing. That is not going to prompt anyone to seek a formal diagnosis. They're going to want to hide that shit so that individuals like him can't. You get where I'm going, right? JRC is just the tip of the iceberg in the scary world us disabled folks find ourselves in now. So if you want to know why a lot of people just continue to self-diagnose and you scream at them that it must be fake, they don't get the formal diagnosis because they are afraid of the consequences of what could possibly happen if they do, because we don't live in a bubble. We have our own news network set up amongst all of us that all of us are engaged in. We know what's going on when it comes to people who are like us all around the world at any given time. So, just saying. I do not want disabled people to be in pain. I do not want people seeking or requiring treatment to be hurt. Everyone, including disabled people, should be safe from getting hurt. There is a minimal rigorous evidence suggesting aversion therapy, such as the use of electric shock devices, is effective. In particular, the long-term efficacy of aversives have seen mixed results. Additionally, like in my case, use of aversives can lead to patients to avoid treatment altogether, which has been known issue since at least 1999, as per the chapter on aversion therapy in the Baker Encyclopedia of Psychology and Counseling, 2nd edition. More overviews of aversive therapy in general note the lack of definitive evidence and weakness of evidence for its use, such as the chapter on aversive therapy in the reference module in Neuroscience and Behavioral Psychology 2017 by M. Sanju. Most evidence supporting aversive therapy is effective is in specific areas such as substance abuse, with patients seeking to stop their reliance on substances. This is not sufficient to apply similar methods to disabled people. Something with indefinite and marginal scientific backing that the United States Nations considers torture should not be in use. Point blank. If you got the UN telling you it's torture, that should have been the end of it. Kind of like when all that time ago, Trump mocked a disabled reporter, and that should have been the end of it. Please pass the ban on the electric shock devices for behavioral modification. All right, we're going to go ahead and go with one more comment. This is actually from the Massachusetts Association for Mental Health. Very nice to see here. Okay. For some reason, there seems this need to write a book every single time. We're not going to read through the whole thing. Let's see if we can find the clip notes, shall we? Okay, MAMH supports the proposed ban for all the reasons that the FDA has outlined. All right, that sounds good to me. We're not going to be reading all that. If you would like to do so on your own, again, this is linked in the description box. Please feel free to do so. But for now, we're going to go ahead and close out on our end. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, if you would be so kind, please, as always, don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments, and don't forget to double check and make sure that you are still set up to receive notifications. We are going to be continuing our series down the rabbit hole, the series on Medicaid, as well as the new ones on HIPAA and advanced directives, and we don't want you to miss anything. I appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.